Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a sewing project, and in this video I thought I would show you guys sewing together one of the children's patterns that I have. It is the Newlook 6212 and I'm actually going to be making the little romper from this pattern. So I'll just do a little close-up of the back of the pattern so you can see what it looks like. You get a dress and you get a romper, shoe covers and a little hat, and this particular pattern goes up to 24 months. I think it's so cute and I've been meaning to make it for my little girl Willow for a while now. I've had it cut out for a few months and I'm finally going to make it, so I thought I would take you along whilst I make it and we can put it together in this video. So before I get started, if you are new to my channel, make sure to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up and let me know in the comments if there's any other children's patterns that you would like me to sew, because I'm hoping to start making Willow a few more things now that she's getting older and her growth isn't quite so rapid as it is in the baby years. She's turning 2 in December, so I want to start making her a few little nice things, and yeah, let's get started. As it's the first time making this pattern, I am using a fairly cheap fabric, to be honest, but it's just a standard like cotton polyester fabric, and it's this really cute appley green gingham. I'm pretty sure I got this from like Pound Fabrics or something like that, but yeah, it was pretty inexpensive. And the pattern itself, it has quite a few things to it, so if I just show you the pattern pieces. So I'm going to be making the little romper, and I've cut out a 24 months. Willow is 20 months at the moment, but she is starting to go up to a size 24 month, like 2-year-old clothing. She's on par with her growth and she's always been in the next size up a couple of months before she turns that size. So yes, she is now a little bit bigger, and I cut this out a few months ago and I just haven't had the chance to sew it. So I'm hoping it will fit her. If it doesn't, I've got lots of friends that I can gift it to, and hopefully she might get a couple of wears out of it. But anyway, I like, with a new pattern that I've never made before, I like to have a little read through and make sure I know what the seam allowance is, make sure I know what to expect with the instructions. I'm not great at reading all of it, but I'll have like a glance so we can just see, because I haven't actually made a Newlook pattern in a long time. So I'm gonna have a little read through and then we can start the sewing process. So hopefully you don't mind this angle. I just thought as I was sewing today I would do a chilled, chatty sew along and show you hopefully this coming together quite easily, but I mean we'll see, won't we guys? Go ahead and sew. Just stay stitch on these necklines to make sure they don't stretch out of place or anything like that. So I've prepped all the facing pieces and I use a lightweight interfacing. The interfacing I use is from Minerva, so it's like a really good quality. I'll leave it linked below for you guys. And then I also have overlocked the lower edge of the piece. Obviously if you don't have if you don't have an overlocker, then you can zigzag it. Just find a way to neaten it, or you could use bias binding or something like that as a nice finishing method. So I believe the next step is to pin the facings to the pieces. Let me just check. So right sides together, I think that's the right side. It's looking a bit off shape, but I'll sort that out in a second. Okay, apologies about the sound quality, I'll have to have the fan on because it's just so hot in here. The seam allowance is 5/8, so that's pinned and ready to be stitched, so I'll stitch across there and then also do the same for the front piece. So you're just going to make sure that's the right side facing out, match up right sides together. Same again, we're going to stitch our facing on at the shoulder and neckline. So that is sewn on the back there. I've clipped my corners and now we can turn it the right way out and give it a press. Try and get a nice sharp corner. I use a little pin just have to carefully get in there and try and wiggle it out. It now says in the instructions to baste the side bit down flat, and then we need to put 3 buttonholes in the top. So in order to do that, I'm going to take one of my buttons. I've decided on these cute little vintagey ones. So I've got these little flower buttons, which I think would look quite cute. So I need to create some buttonholes across the top here. Do that on my sewing machine with some normal buttonhole stitches. And I'm going to baste that down as well, and then I'll report back and show you what that is looking like. I thought I'd show you guys how to turn out the corner in a kind of neat way in order to get a nice point. So if you fold where that seam line is, and then you fold again like that, and hold that little pinch, bring your finger underneath and hold the pinch there, then you can kind of keep that in place, and when you turn it out you get a nice pointy finish, and it just helps to turn it through properly. So again, pinch it on that point, hold it underneath and turn it through, and then you get nice points. And then if there's any more to pull out, you can just get a pin and sort of delicately pull it a little bit more if you need to. Ta-da! Right, and it's actually the front piece that you need to put the buttonholes on, not the back piece, just to make sure you check that. So the buttonholes go on the front, the buttons go on the back. As this fabric is quite cheap, it is sort of stretching out of place a little bit as I'm sewing it, which is quite annoying, but it's a good practice fabric, and actually it is quite cute. Just you can tell the quality isn't there, you know, so I'll have to make this again in like a little Liberty fabric or something cute like that, like a floral. Cool, so that's the front bit done. Basting the sides again like the back one, and then we're inserting buttonholes into the front. So in order to put the buttonholes on, I'm using this buttonhole guide that comes with the pattern. Nice and easy, like so. And there we know that we're going to have some good buttonholes. Let me zoom in those buttonhole markings. There you go. Cool. Now I'll head it over to the machine and I can sew those in place. So there are the buttonholes. I need to open them out, and then we can take our back piece as well. They lay on top like this, and then we're basting it together where that armhole is. So we do that on both sides. Match it up like that and baste it at the armhole, and then we sew the buttons on when it's all finished. That is done. The buttonholes are on and the sleeves have been sewn in, so let me just show you what that looks like from the other side. So yeah, buttonholes are in, sleeves are on. Little tip as well when you're sewing on the sleeves, if you put a long gathering stitch about a centimetre away from the edge, you're not gathering the sleeve, but you can pull it slightly, and it just helps on like children's clothing when it's quite a small miniature area. I found it was quite difficult to put the sleeve in around that curved edge, so just gathering it slightly meant that you don't get any like tucks or anything, but it just helps to curve that line and helps it sort of ease into the sleeve armhole a little bit. So now that's done, you just fold that over like this, and then we can sew up the sleeves. We can sew up the sleeves and down the side seams, and then we can move on to the legs. So that is stitched up. Let me zoom out a little bit. So we've done the side seam. I've got nice finished overlocked edge. I've just tried it on Willow, as you guys saw. It looks really cute. It's quite big on her actually. I didn't realise it was going to be as big as it was, but yeah, the next step is to do the legs. Just so you guys know, when I tried it on her and took it off, some of the stitches were like pulls, so I would recommend reinforcing your stitches a couple of times, and then also with your overlocker or zigzag, just to make sure it's like super strong and it doesn't fray, because you have to put it on over their heads, and you know what toddlers are like, they're a bit rowdy when it comes to putting their arms in things. So I've done that. I need to also hem this up, and I'm thinking of doing like a what do you call it, one of those hems that you fold up like this and then you bring it round to the front so it looks like a little folded up sleeve, just because the sleeves were massive on her, so I thought I might as well do something with this excess. Next step is, if I can find the pieces, is the legs, but I'm going to come back and do that another time, probably this evening or in the week, just so I can get it finished. But yeah, it's getting there. So just the sleeves and the legs to do. Good morning. So I'm back in the studio, about to do a little bit more work on my gingham romper, and I thought I would share some details on things that have happened in the past few days with it. I've just washed my hair, by the way, so I look a little bit like Hagrid. So the romper itself came together really nicely and pretty quick and easy. It was a nice sort of beginner friendly pattern. Here is what the little button neckline looks like. I'm really pleased with it overall, and I'm going to put some buttons in there, haven't done that yet. So the dilemma sits with the button opening at the crotch. So I did a story about this on my Instagram, and if you follow me on Instagram and here, then you would have seen me chat about the confusion with this bit at the bottom. So I'll hold it up and then I can sort of show you and talk you through the sort of confusion. So in the instructions, it doesn't actually specify how the facing is sewn to the actual garment. So it does say something about like top stitching or putting in place. Let me just get the instructions. So the instructions are quite vague and a lot of it's a bit of guesswork. So it says here, and I'll hold it up so you can screenshot this and you can see if I'm going crazy. But it says layer seam, clip curves. So when it says layer seam, I don't know what the word layer means. Layering, trim seam allowance. So again, just trimming your seam allowance and clip curve. Turn facing and hem allowance to the inside. Press and baste. It doesn't actually say what their terminology for baste is, but baste in my opinion is just stitching, right? Stitching it in place. So I know some people use the word baste stitching for holding something there. So it says baste stitch it. And then it says either slip stitch hem in place, avoid stitches showing on the outside, or stitch hem in place. Using buttonhole guide, make buttonholes in the front leg opening, and then it shows the front leg opening, which is this side here. As you can see, I've top stitched that to the actual body, which it doesn't tell you to do, but it says to hem it. So do you leave this flapped, or do you leave it, or do you top stitch it? So anyway, I top stitched it, and then it says lap front opening onto back, sew buttons under buttonholes forming thread shanks. So when I laid it on the front, I was like, well, that wouldn't allow any movement in the crotch area, and then you'd see these, like, you'd see the buttons on here like that. You know, some play suits, what you get is you get the two together and then you're able to sort of stick them like this, but the problem with that, let me see if I can try and show you, the two don't really fit together around that curve properly. It's all very confusing. My other idea or suggestions that I had from people on Instagram was to turn it into a dress, and I am considering it only because I feel like, one, she might wear it more, and two, it's so long in the body. I don't want to faff around too much with this crutch situation to then put it on her and it's all ill-fitting and it doesn't look right. So, you know, it's just the process of these vintagey, I think this is a vintage pattern, I'm pretty sure it came out of my nan's pattern box that she gave me. But yeah, the process of making these patterns that I've not made before, this is where I find it's a little bit frustrating, because I've had no reference point, so I've not seen anyone on Instagram or online make it before. I've just seen the pattern in my stash and thought, oh yeah, I want to make that for Willow. And I'm glad I'm making it in a cheap fabric, because I've put it all together, and then because of the vagueness of the sewing pattern instructions, I'm kind of left thinking, well, is that right? Did I need to do something else? And then when I looked on suggested fabrics for this pattern, if I can find it, it doesn't actually specify what the fabric should be for the playsuit, but I'm guessing after much irritation that it should have been like a knit fabric, like a jersey or something. It's all a process, and I like being able to share that with you guys. So yeah, what I'm gonna do is essentially cut it off like this and add a little gathered skirt to the bottom. I've got enough fabric, I should be able to do that. So I finished the dress, it's looking really cute. Here it is. So I kind of wish I'd had like a little bit of more fabric because the skirt tiers aren't that long, but I think she'll look really cute in it, and it was either just make one skirt or do like a little ruffle bit on the edge, and I just thought the little ruffle and the buttons kind of separate it from looking like a school uniform, because obviously in the gingham fabric, because it's now a dress, I didn't want it to look like, you know, a school uniform. So I think it looks super cute. I can't wait to put it on her. And I am disappointed, if I'm honest, about the pattern and the fact that, you know, I had to make changes and do a dress rather than the little romper, because I think the romper is so cute and I think it would have looked a bit more unique in that fabric. But I'm happy with the dress. I think it's pretty, and I think Willow will look really cute in it. I love her in green. So yeah, overall I'm pleased. If anyone has any advice or any tips for me if I want to make this again for Willow, then let me know. But it was a good make, it was fun to make. I'm glad I'm sort of dipping my toes into making more stuff for Willow anyway. And I think next time I'll just make it in a knit fabric if I'm going to make it again. It does look quite generous, to be honest, in size, so I think I'll give it a go again in a knit fabric and see if I can do better next time. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little sewing vlog. If you did, make sure to subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time. Bye!